It was the summer of 2020, and COVID was at its peak. I was working at a warehouse where we were putting insane amounts of hours, and I was reaching my 16th hour for that shift when all of a sudden we heard a loud crash, followed by my coworker yelling, "Are you serious?" He was staring at my body curled up while I was agonizing in pain. My right foot had been pinned in between two pallets who had almost been crushed, dragged, and at this point almost compressed together. It was done by a piece of machine whose battery alone weighs 5,000 pounds. I told my coworker, "Can you please back up as slowly as you can?" He nodded, jumped on his piece of equipment, put his hand on the throttle, and ever so gently began to go into reverse as slowly as possible. Immediately you can hear all of the crackling sounds made by the broken pieces of wood as they tried to shift their way back together. And I saw my foot. It had rotated around 90 degrees to the right and was dangling all over the damn place. I thought for sure my foot was going to be degloved, which is a term that I learned in orientation because somebody had been in a similar accident, and when they tried to take his steel toe boot off, part of his foot came along. I closed my eyes, and the first thing that came to my mind was the face of my 10-month-old Mateo, who I barely got to see because of the crazy hours. And it pierced my soul knowing that I probably would never play soccer with him in the future. The second thought that came to my mind was in regards to a lease that I had just signed 2 days prior. It was for a business venture. I was going to bring to York the first vegan taco joint called Taco Madres. And I also remember regretting not ever learning how to dance salsa. Or any dance for that matter, because even before this accident, I already had 2 left feet. So there I was facing surgery, recovery, and a lot of uncertainty. But me being me, I tried to remain positive, as optimistic as possible. Luckily for me, things got worse. And I say luckily, because a couple of months into my recovery, the relationship with my son's mother ended. And although I like to say it was mutual, she was the one that broke up with me. You could say one foot was already out the door. So now I'm really beginning to feel a little bit unlucky. But then something incredible happened. Because you see, before this accident, I barely got to see my son. And when I did, I was physically exhausted. I was mentally not there. And for the first time, in what seemed a long time, I was actually present. I felt like a father for the first time, actually, as we began to enjoy activities together, share meals together, build blocks, watch cartoons, take an enormous amount of naps. I didn't even know I liked to nap, but Mateo showed me the way. Eventually, I got a letter from my employer telling me that I had to go back to work. They were expecting me to go back to work in a couple of weeks. And I knew I couldn't go back to that same routine. I needed something different so I could spend time with my little chubster. I got my real estate license, and by the summer of 2021, I joined the brokerage, and Mateo and I ended up selling 2 houses that year, which is not terrible, but it's not substantial. The next year, we sold 38 homes. And when I say we, he was with me at least 80% of the time in all kinds of appointments, settlements, closings, home inspections, you name it. What I initially thought of as a very unlucky or a series of unlucky events ended up being the best gift of my life. I was able to develop a strong bond with my son. And that bond pushed me to pursue a career that had enough flexibility so I can spend time with him. My vegan empire will have to wait. And I haven't learned how to dance salsa yet. But on any given night, if you walk into our kitchen, you could probably find Mateo and me doing some silly dancing while we bake lasagna or make some tacos. And for that, I consider to be myself the luckiest person with 2 left feet. Thank you.